In a village in Ghana, nestled between rolling hills and tall cotton trees, lived a boy named Kwaku. Unlike the other children, who chased goats and played wrestling games, Kwaku spent his days by the river, collecting gourds. He loved their hollow sound when tapped, the way water sang inside them, and how their smooth shells could be polished to shine like bronze. Every day, he would cut and clean them, pretending they were calabashes of medicine. With leaves and herbs gathered from the bush, he mixed concoctions that no one took seriously. The villagers laughed whenever they saw him crouched in the shade of the baobab, stirring crushed leaves into his tiny calabash. "Look at Kwaku the healer," they mocked. "He heals dolls and goats that aren't sick." Even the elders dismissed him. They believed he was simply a dreamer, too weak for farming and too clumsy for hunting. His mother worried that his obsession would make him useless. But Kwaku smiled through their laughter. He knew that when he crushed the bitter kola leaves or ground the bark of the neem tree, he heard whispers. The forest spoke, telling him which plants could cool a fever, which roots could soothe pain, and which seeds could fight poison. Though he was small, he carried a secret gift. The people thought he was only playing. They thought he was just a child. Yet, in the shadows of the forest, the spirits watched and smiled, for they knew the boy's calabashes would one day heal more than dolls. But when sickness crept into the village, the laughter around Kwaku's calabashes would turn to desperate silence. One hot evening, as the sun sank red beyond the hills, the village elder's daughter, Abina, collapsed in the marketplace. Her breath came in ragged gasps, her skin burned like fire, and her lips cracked with thirst. The healer of the village, a grey-bearded man named Okomfo, was summoned. He muttered incantations, burned herbs, and sprinkled water upon her, but Abina only grew weaker. Panic spread quickly. If the elder's daughter could fall ill so suddenly, who would be next? By nightfall, 2 more villagers had fallen sick with the same fever. Their bodies shook as if possessed, and no known medicine worked. Fear gripped the people like a tightening rope. Mothers clutched their children. Hunters sharpened spears, whispering of angry spirits. The air itself felt heavy, as though something unseen lurked within it. Kwaku, sitting by his calabash, watched silently. He remembered the whispers of the forest. There was one herb, a bitter root that grew near the anthills, which the spirits had told him could cool fire in the blood. But who would listen to him? He was only a boy. The villagers would laugh if he even suggested it. Yet, as night deepened and the cries of the sick echoed through the village, Kwaku felt a stirring in his chest. He clutched his small calabash and whispered, "If the forest has chosen me, then I cannot remain silent." And so, the boy no one believed decided to face the sickness that even the great healer could not cure. Before dawn, Kwaku slipped away from his sleeping mother's hut and made for the forest. The night air was cool, and the moon's silver light cut through the trees like guiding hands. As he entered the forest heart, the sounds of crickets, owls, and rustling leaves rose around him. To Kwaku, these were not noises but voices. He placed his hand upon the trunk of an ancient cotton tree and closed his eyes. "Child of calabashes," the forest whispered. "The sickness is no ordinary fever. It is the touch of a shadow spirit angered by forgotten offerings. But the cure is here, hidden in root and leaf. Will you listen?" Kwaku bowed his head. "Teach me, and I will heal them." The wind stirred, and suddenly, he saw visions, a tall anthill glowing faintly in moonlight, bitter roots coiling like snakes, and a stream where red hibiscus petals floated. He knew what to do. Running barefoot, he gathered the bitter roots, crushed them into his calabash, and mixed them with stream water and hibiscus. His small hands worked quickly, as if guided by invisible fingers. When the first rooster crowed, Kwaku returned to the village with his potion. He held the calabash high, but the people laughed when they saw him. "You cure the sickness," one man sneered. Even Okomfo, the healer, shook his head. "This is no time for children's games." But Kwaku's eyes burned with quiet fire. "Let me try," he begged. "If I fail, what have you lost?" They refused him once, but before the sun set, desperation would force them to his calabash. The elder's hut was filled with wailing. Abina's fever had worsened, and her breath grew shallow, as though death itself had laid claim to her chest. Okomfo tried one last ritual, but when smoke cleared, the girl's body lay limp. The elder's eyes filled with tears, and his voice cracked like dry wood. If my daughter dies, the village dies with her. Whispers spread among the people, fear of curses, of angry spirits, of punishment for forgotten sacrifices. Then, in the corner of the hut, a small voice spoke, "Let me help her." The elder turned, startled. There stood Kwaku with his humble calabash. Some scoffed, but others, seeing the healer's failure, murmured, "What harm is there now?" With trembling hands, Kwaku knelt beside Abina. He lifted her head gently and poured a sip of his bitter potion between her lips. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her chest rose with a deeper breath, her fevered skin cooled slightly, and her trembling stilled. Gasps filled the hut. The elder gripped Kwaku's arm. "What did you give her, boy?" Kwaku bowed. "Not me, elder. The forest. It speaks, and I only carry its voice." Abina stirred, whispering faintly, "Water," and the room erupted in relief. But as hope rose in the village, the shadow spirit that caused the sickness awoke, and it had seen the boy who dared to defy it. That very night, while the villagers celebrated Abina's recovery, a cold wind swept through the huts. Fires flickered low, and dogs whined uneasily, their eyes fixed on the darkness beyond the compound. Kwaku sat alone by his calabash, staring at the stars, when he felt the air shift. A whisper like broken reeds hissed in his ear, "You meddle in what you do not understand, child. That which I claim, no hand may save." Kwaku's heart pounded, but he did not run. He looked into the forest shadow and spoke softly, "The people belong to the earth, not to you. If you wish to harm them, you must pass through me." His words, though trembling, carried the weight of the spirits that guided him. The wind stilled, but from the elder's hut came a sudden scream. Abina was riding again, her face pale, as though invisible hands squeezed the breath from her lungs. The villagers rushed in, crying out in terror. "The spirit is angry. The child has provoked it." Okomfo, the healer, raised his staff and glared at Kwaku. "Boy, you have brought danger upon us all. Leave this matter to those who understand." Kwaku clenched his calabash, whispering, "The forest does not lie. There is more work to be done." He knew that this sickness was no longer just an ailment of the body, it was a battle with the shadow itself. And so, as the village turned against him, Kwaku prepared to enter the forest once more, this time to face the spirit in its own lair. At dawn, he slipped quietly into the trees. The forest seemed different now, heavier, as if it knew the danger ahead. The whispers of the leaves guided his steps, leading him deeper than he had ever gone. Birds did not sing here, and the air tasted of iron. Soon he found himself standing before an ancient anthill, taller than a man, glowing faintly in the shadows. At its base coiled roots as black as night, oozing with a foul smell. The forest's voice trembled. "Here is the root of the sickness, child. The shadow spirit has poisoned the earth itself. If you are brave, you must pull this root and mix it with the hibiscus and bitter leaf. Only then can the spirit's grip be broken." Kwaku knelt and touched the root. Instantly, pain shot through his arm, and a dark voice growled inside his mind. "Leave me, boy. You are nothing. Return to your dolls and games." His body shook, but he tightened his grip. With all his strength, he tore the root free, screaming as shadows burst from the ground like black smoke. The forest bent with a groan, trees swaying as if in mourning. Kwaku stumbled back, clutching the root in his calabash. He knew the spirit would not let him leave so easily. Behind him, the shadows began to take shape, long limbs, glowing eyes, and a mouth that breathed curses. The boy had found the cure, but now he would have to fight for his life against the shadow spirit itself. The spirit rose tall, blotting out the morning sun. Its form shifted like smoke, and its eyes burned with hatred. Villagers, drawn by the noise, gathered at the forest edge. They gasped in terror at the sight, many fleeing at once. Only a few remained, watching in disbelief as the boy they once mocked stood before a monster. The spirit roared, and the ground quaked. "You dare steal from me, child? I will make your bones my feast." With a sweep of its shadowy hand, it sent a gust of darkness toward Kwaku. The boy fell to his knees, clutching his calabash to his chest. For a moment, he felt as small as the villagers had always believed. But then he heard the steady whisper of the forest. Do not fear, Kwaku. Pour the root into the water, stir it with the hibiscus. Trust your hands. His trembling fingers obeyed. He crushed the root into the mixture, and the calabash glowed with a faint light. The spirit lunged, but Kwaku raised the calabash high. You cannot claim what belongs to life, he shouted. He flung the glowing mixture into the air. The liquid scattered into shining drops that rained upon the ground. Wherever they touched, grass sprang up, green and strong, forcing the shadow back. The spirit shrieked, its form unraveling like smoke in the wind. Yet even as it weakened, its voice slithered into Kwaku's ear. I will return, boy. Shadows always return. The battle was won, but Kwaku knew the true test was yet to come, convincing his people that the forest gift was real. The villagers carried Kwaku back into the heart of the settlement. Many had seen the battle with their own eyes, yet still their fear lingered. Some whispered that he was blessed, others muttered that he was cursed. The elder, holding Abina's hand as she walked once more with strength, stood before the people. This boy has done what even our healer could not. He has faced the spirit itself and returned with life in his calabash. Will we still call him only a child? His voice ran across the gathering. Silence followed. Then, slowly, the villagers began to bow their heads toward Kwaku. Mothers who had once scolded him for wasting time now touched their children's foreheads, whispering prayers that they too might be guided by such wisdom. Even Okomfo, the proud healer, stepped forward. His face was heavy with shame, but his voice was steady. Forgive me, Kwaku. I did not see what the forest had already seen. You are more than healer, you are chosen. Kwaku said nothing. He only lifted his calabash, now glowing faintly in the sunlight, and whispered, it was never me. It was the forest. I am only its child. Peace seemed to return, but the whisper of the spirit still lingered in Kwaku's mind, shadows always return. What would he do when darkness rose again? Seasons passed, and Kwaku's name spread beyond the hills. Travelers came from far villages, carrying the sick and weary to his calabash. Each time, he listened to the forest, mixed herbs, and gave healing. Yet, he remained humble, always reminding the people that the forest was the true healer. But one night, as he rested under the baobab, a dream came to him. The shadow spirit appeared again, its form thinner but still burning with malice. You cast me out, child, it hissed, but shadows do not die. They wait. One day, your calabash will break, and the people will see you for what you truly are, just a boy. Kwaku woke in a sweat. The dream gnawed at him, but he did not despair. He rose, walked to the river, and dipped his calabash into the cool water. The reflection of the moon shone in it, steady and bright. He whispered, perhaps I am only a boy. But even a boy can carry light, and where light is carried, shadows flee. From that day, Kwaku taught others the secrets the forest had shared. He trained children to listen to the whispers of leaves and the wisdom of roots. No longer was he alone, and no longer could the shadow spirit claim the people so easily. For healing had spread, not from one boy, but through many hearts. And so the boy they thought was just a child became the calabash healer, the one whose hands carried life, and whose courage proved that even the smallest can hold the power to chase away shadows.